everyone. Welcome back to Healthy Happenings, brought to you by Natural Partners Full Script. I am Dr. Holly Lucille, and guess what is happening today? We're going to be talking about butyric acid and conditions like autism and ulcerative colitis, and an incredible delivery system with none other than the famous and sometimes infamous Al Czap. Al, how you doing?
I'm good. I haven't seen you for so long.
I know. We've known each other for a long time, so it's very fun to see you in this format.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me on, Holly.
Of course. Now, I had a couple questions for you because, as I said, I've known you for a while. You founded Thorne in 1984. You sold it in 2010. You had published the Alternative Medicine Review from 1993 to 2010, and now you have Tesseract Medical Research and have also morphed the review into Foundational Medicine Review, which is a great resource for both savvy patients and practitioners. And it really is, in my opinion, illustrating how deep the growing body of quality and scientific research on natural molecules, especially that you've had your hands on, has become. But my biggest question for you is that I knew you back in the day. You were retired. You were hanging out with your beautiful, wonderful wife, Tony. And now you're back into the thick of things. Well, what the heck happened?
We were having fun going to Europe and, sold Thorne when doing very well. And at one point, Tony had a little thing going on with some of her digestion, her system. So I went back to stuff that I've been doing in the lab in New Jersey 15 years ago, where I was trying to make co-crystals through extrusion method. And some of the notes and some of the things I'd looked at before had some very interesting delivery characteristics that I'd never really played with. So a couple of years ago, I just thought, I'm going to play around with this. I can go to use my friend's lab. And I started with glutathione and basically was taking one molecule and putting it into a 6-sided or 8-sided dextrin trap. It looks kind of like a little donut that's tapered. And I started playing with these things, and I was enjoying myself. And I gave some to Tony, and it really helped her. And I just thought, this is kind of fun. The problem is that back in '84, when I first started Thorne, I knew Torben Niesby, and he was the guy who did the patent on calcium butyrate and magnesium butyrate. And I thought when I first started Thorne, I was in this little industrial complex. Well, I can try to make that. So I drove everyone within a half-block area out of the building, and I was threatened by the landlord never to do that again, because butyric acid is highly reactive and it's nasty. It's the vilest thing on the planet, and your body produces it. So gave up on that. But I was playing around with this about a year and a half ago, and I thought, gosh, I should just try doing butyric acid. So I ended up making it where I had a free flow 84. One molecule was inside of this little trap. And this is the coolest thing in the world. And then what happened is I mentioned it to a few doctors, like Dr. ProButyrate. And suddenly I started getting some phone calls from various doctors he had mentioned it to who had gastroenterology problems. And this is kind of what it looks like. You have to imagine the tiniest thing in the world. Can we see that?
Wow.
You'll see that this is
3D image there.
It's a complex, and inside you'll see that there's a little molecule. And what you can do is you can pull these molecules in one at a time. And literally this is smaller than 1 nanometer, which is there's like 25 million nanometers in 1 inch. So that's the technology. This is so much smaller than anything that's delivered today. And it's been around for a while, and pharma's played with it. But the thing is, you have to be able to get it back out of that ring, out of that donut. And no one really ever addressed that. So if you get the right degradation enzyme set up and in the right delivery form, it actually works. So no one had ever done it. So I've got a patent pending which covers thousands of things, and it's so exciting.
So not only did Tony and what she was experiencing inspire you to get back into the lab to help her, you also, besides the ingredient itself, you discovered this delivery method.
the delivery method, and making it so that the ingredient was one, palatable, two, delivered one actual molecule at a time instead of as an agglomeration trying to get through the wall of the gut. And also it's just the extreme efficiency and being able to deliver it where I wanted to deliver it. So let me give you a quick example or two. This is a little rude. This is, I got a call upon first making the butyric acid from the president of a medical association here in the U.S. He's a medical doctor. He had an ostomy in 1971. And in 2016, he had two surgeries. He had to, that debrided, and he had to move the ostomy to so it'd be a different area. He was having so many problems. So he got a hold of Dr. ProButyrate, and he had been through a world of hell where nothing was healing. We're not talking about any individual products from any company here. We're just going to talk molecules. We're going to talk therapy and actual medicine here. So
let's do it.
For any individual product, but we're going to talk to you about what things can do. For those who are not physicians, this is going to be a little bit rude. The gentleman had a very, very bad problem with their a wound around a wound around the ostomy. The ostomy is where you take the colon and it comes out the side of your abdomen, and you have to wear a pouch. So this is actually what we have. When he called me, this is what he looked like. He was in the top picture. This is October 2016. He had tried every single medical treatment. I mean, he does preventive medicine. He knows all the gastroenterologists and internists. Nothing was helping this gentleman. So he started the product. I sent him some from the lab, some capsules of the Butyric. And in December 16th, he was looking really, really good. And then I have a quote from him. Healing was good until I ran out of your butyric acid. Within 1 week, the lesion, which was almost healed, began breaking down and growing again. So we made up some more and got it to him. And so now he was at the point where it had healed. And nothing else was good. Butyric acid is one of those incredible molecules that has a huge range of therapeutic effect in the body. The second person, these are in my actual patent application as testimonials. The second person is a medical doctor who's a national speaker. He's been on the president's board of health. He's got books. He's on TED Talks, and every person who's watching this would know his name. And he again had talked to Dr. Perlmutter, and he got a hold of me and had my cell number. We'd talked before, but this is February 2017. He had ulcerative colitis for a period of about 6 weeks, and he had no relief from any therapies that they could try. He was going to the head of and director of the Crohn's and Colitis Center at the most prestigious university in the U.S., and they were still not able to get relief. So they did everything, including hydrocortisone enemas. So this is coming out of the statement. Upon obtaining your molecular trap butyric acid, I started oral administration of the capsules. My symptoms of ulcerative colitis began to improve within 36 hours with the administration of the Butyric. And because of its effectiveness, I'm currently utilizing this invention as a mainstay for treating patients having gastroenterology problems. So this was so cool. I knew I had something. Then the part that pulled me back in was Max, locally 6-year-old autistic boy, nightmare at school, didn't look his mother in the eye. He was verbal, but when he spoke, he didn't look her in the eye. Went outside, he'd have to have under his mom's raincoat, hands over his ears, couldn't take voices, and could communicate to a certain extent, could never tie his shoes. He's 6. And the doctor, said, is there anything this is going to be able to do? And I looked at some like McFabe and Slattery and Adams' research on butyric acid in autistic children. It's fascinating stuff. And they convert too much of their fiber to propionic acid, and it's toxic. They don't get enough butyric acid. Right. So the doctor said, let's try him on the powder. So we made a medical food powder, and literally 20 hours after his first dose, his mom called and went, Max tied his shoes. He was ecstatic. He'd been trying for months and months to tie his shoes. His brain could not make his hands do this. And then 2 days later, his mom had his vitamins lined up. And this is the part I almost cry. His mom had his vitamins lined up, and she had some GABA. And he looked at her and went, Mommy, no. He says, I don't want to ever take that. It makes my brain hurt. He says, there are angry voices, and they argue, and it hurts me. And she was blown away. And I told this to a few of the neurologists, and they were blown away. So he had, for 2 years, been taking GABA, and he liked theanine. He told her that, but he'd been taking GABA, and he was not able, his brain, because of the inflammation from propionic acid, from his symptoms of imbalance in short chain fatty acids, was inflaming his brain where he could not tie his shoes, and he could not tell his mom simply for 2 years that this was bad. And then he wanted to meet the man that made the magic powder.
So Al, you're talking about implications from, so autism. You had mentioned ulcerative colitis, wound healing. From a delivery method, then what are the implications from this incredible delivery method? I mean, those case studies, I know we're just scratching the surface here, but what are the implications from this delivery method then?
Well, what's interesting is there's a study back in 1987, I believe, where they were actually, it's so hard to measure butyric acid because people look at it in stool. I mean, you get butyric acid and it's in the stool and you measure, but what you may be getting, if we take our little poop emoji here, you see that? What you're measuring is what's coming out. So they did blood draws, venous blood draws, and they were actually measuring the effect and the longevity and the absorption of calcium and magnesium butyrate. And they came to the conclusion that the best way to deliver butyrate was constant IV. But you can't sit around and have constant IV on a patient. And so what ends up happening is you have this imbalance in the microbiome where people are producing too much propionic or not enough butyrate, or they don't have the right microorganisms to produce enough butyrate. But butyrate, again, is one of the god molecules. Tomorrow I'm on a conference with some major neurologists, and they're absolutely blown away that they have the ability now to use this. And this is going into the neurology section as opposed to gastroenterology. But this technology, I've done 150 things. So I have a new toy store. I can do 1,000 things. It's like being a kid in the candy shop. I've made all of these things. I'm going to show you a couple things in a little bit here. I'm not sure how our time's running, but the way that we're doing this is delivering things that have either been undeliverable or so poorly absorbed that people sometimes they haven't even tried to utilize these substances, even though they're GRAS and they're approved.
So Al, we have about 5 minutes, but I want to ask you, because I know that there are some other, like delivery methods that liposomal come to my mind. Explain the difference between what you're talking about and what you've stumbled upon and liposomal delivery methods.
Liposomal has been a good delivery method for a time, but you have limitations of 1, taste, 2, it has to go under the tongue or in the mouth and be held there, and it's going through the lipid bilayer into your system. And the actual molecule is between, the very smallest one that we know of is a company that makes one that's about 20 to 100 nanometers across. And again, we were talking about nanometers being 25 million in 1 inch, and they go up to 2 or 3 sometimes 400, and you're just basically coating a number of molecules with a layer of phosphatidylcholine, is the lipid bilayer they use, and that kind of can scoot it through the wall of the mouth. The problem is the size is still, you're looking at something that is so much larger than what we're doing. We're talking one single molecule being released properly where we want it in the digestive tract, and it immediately goes through the wall of the gut. So the best part is that we can have a highly reduced dosage and get much more therapeutic effect. This is the holy grail. This is glutathione. And I have physicians who no longer use IV, and they, in the past, there's been so many attempts to have oral glutathione work, and it's just the difficult molecule. It just doesn't. The people do inhalers, they do IV. It just doesn't work. Liposomal helps a little, but to get something where you can actually get it in the bloodstream, we have doctors now who have patients who have virtually no glutathione in their red blood cell test, and 2 days later, they're normal. I mean, this is just taking.
Talk about an important molecule.
People can look at it and go, well, I can go to the health food store and get that. Well, you can't really, because it's in the new delivery system. So, and in the new patent. I mean, and people could ask Dr. Perlmutter about some of the things that he's seen with this, the glutathione, and it's just incredible stuff. So we have tons of molecules like this.
What do you think the future holds with the technology like this?
The future holds, it obsoletes many things. Vitamin C and a number of things are the same. Pyridoxal phosphate, methylcobalamin. We're going to be doing a study with a major university. They just got the IRB cleared, and they're going to be doing it with children. And they're going to be high levels of an individual vitamin along with this butyrate, and they've already seen the results on that. But let me give you a quick preview of a couple of things. I have to get my pet monkey.
It's show and tell here on Healthy Happenings. This is what it's all about when you're talking to Al Czap.
So what happens is we have the opportunity now to make things for children and for patients that we're not going to do the thing where we're the Martin Scorelis or whatever his name was of the world, where we're charging $5,000 a month for something. We'll have stuff that will be affordable for people, but things that have been neglected. I mean, we have methylmalonic acidemia is an organic acidemia that children have from birth, where they're converting specific amino acids into toxins. Now, I think this is still a few months away, but we've already made up medical foods that will help these children, and it'll be the only thing that there's been the opportunity to help them in history. I mean, we have isovaleric acidemia. We have propionic acidemia, where a child is born and they convert 4 amino acids into propionic acid and they die in a week. And that's if a physician or a nurse doesn't see them in the pediatric ward. So these are organic acidemias and organic problems. And we're going to be able to do these things where, no one's ever done this. I mean, we have this one. Let's be rude. Come on.
Right.
A number of ingredients, 2 that you are familiar with, and there are 4 other anti-inflammatories that come from plants that no one's ever really been able to do anything with because they just don't get absorbed very well. These things do. This is such cool stuff.
I can tell you're excited about it. I love it. And I have to tell you before we go, and we're just going to wrap up here in a couple minutes, but because of the 3 case studies that you skimmed over, the autism, the wound healing, the ulcerative colitis, I think I want to talk to the powers that be and see if we can't get you on a longer format, like a webinar sponsored by FullScript, so we can hear more about the clinical application. Because to me, I mean, that is where the sweet spot is when it comes to empowering our practitioners.
What we're doing is I want to be retired again. So I have my business partners, and we're positioning this so that we can start introducing products. We have to do them 1 or 2 at a time. There's a lot of technology. I went through 3 different plants and 3 different reaction facilities and shut down literally 10 square blocks in one city when we were doing the butyrate. So this is not easy stuff. So you just can't, So we have, dihydrovanillin tetrafuran, PQQ, Bicolin.
All right.
All these fun things.
No retirement for you yet, okay? No retirement yet.
No, this is fun.
Yeah. Al, listen, I want to thank you. Al Czap, folks, right here from Tesseract Medical Research, obviously very, very busy. I think that practitioners and patients alike are going to benefit so much from the work that you got yourself back into. Thank you, and hugs to your wife, Tony. And for you out there, for you out there watching on Healthy Happenings, just know that we're going to see you next time.
Got to say hi to the monkey.
Slap the monkey. All right. Talk to you soon.